Your mileage may vary, but for me, it just is beautiful. What else do I have? The cocking hammer, I've mentioned this. It's pretty unique. Usually in a revolver, obviously, this is like the hammer spur, that's actually cocking it. And in the case of the Rhino, all these mechanics in here, this thing here is actually a cocking lever that's pushing down on something that's cocking the hammer. The hammer's all down in here because the barrel's down here. So what you're doing when you're pulling this is you're pushing down a pin that's actually cocking the hammer. It's kind of confusing and it's pretty complicated. There's a guy named Grant Cunningham who's kind of a revolver expert, and he's made a few blog posts about he's going into more detail with the internals of this gun, so I'll put a link on there on this video so you can go check that out. It's pretty interesting. So I'll show you kind of how this works. The cocking hammer here, or the cocking lever, you pull that down. It's in double action right now. See, it's a double action there. You pull this back that way, and now it's in single action, and it goes like that. When you cock it, there's this little red, they call it a flag. It's a little button sort of thing that pops up. Sorry for the out of focus moments here. This is all new to me. There's this little red flag that pops up when it's cocked, and also this hammer is kind of a lot more spongy. There's nothing there anymore. That lets you know that it's cocked and it's in single action mode. Decocking, it's pretty much the same as in a regular revolver. You hold this back, pull the trigger, let's see, and then you just ease it forward. That wasn't the best ease, but that's the theory, is you just ease it forward. Obviously you'd be pointing in the safe direction and taking all the normal precautions when decocking a revolver. Another ergonomic feature that I like, not saying that I like that necessarily, I'll get to that in a minute, but the trigger itself is actually pretty wide compared to like basically any other gun I have. The Detective Special especially, the trigger's pretty thin. This trigger is, I would say it's a good 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wide. And what that does is it just, when you put your finger on it, it just feels like it's your whole finger's on there. You have a really good sort of like weight distribution on the trigger. It's not cutting into your finger. It's just really comfortable for me. I really like that feature a lot. That's another kind of plus to the strange ergonomics of the whole thing. It works. It all goes together. Let's see. So next on my list is firing impressions. I finally got out and shot it a couple nights ago. It shoots great, I think. The trigger pull, some people, the few reviews that I found online, they don't like the trigger pull, but I personally don't have a problem with it. It's not super light in double action, but it feels fine. It feels smooth to me. Like I said, the trigger I think might help with that because it's so wide that it just has a good feel to it. The grip feel also would probably help with that. Apparently the president of Chiappa himself says not to stage the trigger. You shouldn't, when in double action, pull it back a little bit and go the rest of the way, which kind of feels right to me. It does just kind of work like that, I think, just firing it. And when I shoot that way, it feels smooth to me. So I shoot it that way, or I shot it that way. Single action feels pretty good. It's not too heavy. I don't have a one of those trigger weight measurer things, but it doesn't feel all that heavy to me. Apparently they are coming out with trigger upgrade kits to lighten the pull, but this feels pretty good to me. I'd have to see how the upgrade feels before I'd spend the $100 or whatever it costs on it, but I think that feels pretty good. Accuracy, it was great. I was shooting at, it's a new range. I actually just moved to the city. This is San Antonio, but I just moved here recently, so it was a new range for me. It was 21 feet, and I mean, I was tearing up the center of the target. So accuracy was good, especially for a snub nose. Like I said, the natural pointability helps with that. I wasn't really willing to test their policy on rapid fire, so I didn't do a whole lot of the follow-up shot stuff, shooting off 6 rounds in 2 seconds or whatever to see how the recoil works. But it really does feel different than most other guns. I mean, especially the Detective Special here. The recoil is far different. The grip makes the experience completely different. I mean, this one, it's almost like it's working against you, the grip. It's just not, it doesn't really work that well. I like it for other reasons, but the grip on this is not really the most ergonomic thing in the world. This one, it just, I don't want to keep going on about the ergonomics, but it feels great in the hand, and the kick, it's not even like a kick. It's kind of like straight back into your hand or something. It was really strange the first few times I fired it, but I like it a lot. It feels really good to shoot. The 38 specials, you know, they felt like a 22 and a buck mark or something, and I shot a few 357s, and they felt like, you know, maybe a 9mm, something like that. Just not a lot of kick. It really did feel good to shoot. So I'm pretty impressed with that. I will get into some downsides, though. I know I don't want to just go on and on about how the ergonomics feel and everything without talking about a couple downsides. The actual cocking, this lever isn't super comfortable to cock, so after a while it does kind of wear down on your thumb. I would appreciate if this was a little bit more traditional feeling, at least, because I think it's the combination of the angle of the sight post and the direction that you're actually pulling it. It kind of digs into your finger each time you do it, so that's not too comfortable. So it's not a whole lot of fun to shoot it in single action for a long time, but that's okay, because I mean, like I said, the double action feels good to me, so I shot in that mostly. Another issue, and this is one that Grant Cunningham talks about a lot, is the complexity of the mechanics inside. It's definitely, you know, not your grandpa's revolver. It's nothing like the revolvers that we've been making and seeing for the past 150 years. There's a whole lot of levers in here. If you go to his site, you'll see them all. And being a brand new gun design, all of that, you know, it is kind of, it's up to you if you want to carry something that complicated before any kind of problems start to surface. You know, you're carrying this intricate clockwork and counting your life on it. You know, I don't know. Personally, I'm going to keep carrying the PPS. I got this more as a novelty. I think it's really cool looking. I wanted to see what it was all about. That's why I got it. I'm not sure I'd recommend it as a carry gun because of all that. You never know when it'll fail or what's going to fail. I would wait a few years just to kind of hear reports about that sort of thing before I would start carrying it. As a target, as you know, a range toy or just kind of like a cool conversation piece, I think it's great though. Another con is kind of a strange one. First off, when you release a cylinder, there's sort of over here, going with the angular design, it's a little bit sharp, so when you're pushing it out and it sticks a little bit, I keep cutting, not cutting, but like kind of scraping my finger on the sharpness, and that's not fun. Other thing though is the bluing on the cylinder is really thin, I think. And I mean, I got it used, and there were like 100 rounds through it, but it was already starting to form a turn line on the cylinder, and I put maybe 200 rounds through it the other night, and there's actually a secondary turn line that's being formed right here, and what that's coming from, sort of a flaw in the design, I think, is, and sorry if this is really hard to see on this camera, anyway, but like right here, I'll just put it back together, right here is, there it is, there's a sharp corner there, which, you know, I mean, it goes with the whole modern design and all that, but it's a sharp corner, and what happens is, when you pull this out, and you put it back in, if you're not careful, the weight of the cylinder itself makes it sag a little bit. When you're putting it in, I think it scrapes on there, so that's where this turn line is coming from. And then there's another little thing, I'm sure this won't show up, but there's a little gash right here, sort of, on the frame of the gun, actually, and that's the same thing sort of happening, is that if I'm not careful, which I wasn't because I didn't think about this, when you push the cylinder back in, it kind of bashes right here on the frame, and there's a piece of metal joined to the frame right there, and it's kind of showing a little bit of silver underneath there. So from now on, I'm going to be more careful about making sure that I put the cylinder back nice and carefully. I mean, on most of my revolvers I do, but this one you just have to be extra careful that you're kind of supporting the weight, I think, when you push it back in, so that it's not sagging onto that. And I think also the hexagonal design of the cylinder contributes to that a little bit, because there might be like a corner jutting down or something a little bit farther than normal. But anyway, my time is running out here, so I think I kind of went over everything I wanted to say. It's a really cool gun. I'm glad I got it. I'll put a link to where you can get them for a decent price. I recommend it. I mean, not as a carry piece probably, but just as a really cool new design. I think it's great. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. It's been a lot of fun. I just love holding it. I mean, I just walk around just holding it, you know, and it just feels great. So that's my review of the Chiappa Rhino. If you have any questions, post them. I'll be glad to answer them. I hope this video was helpful. I know I would have appreciated having a nice video like this to to look at when I was thinking about getting one of these. So I just kind of took a leap of faith, and I'm glad that I did. So happy shooting.